Have you ever stared at two choices so long, even flipping a coin feels holy? We all hit moments like this. Do I take the job or stay put? End the relationship or give it one more try? Move forward or wait? And then someone quotes Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6 like it's the spiritual version of just trust the process. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. But what does that really mean when your life is a mess and the path ahead looks like fog on a mountain road? This verse isn't a fortune cookie, it's a dare. We read it like comfort, but in Solomon's day it was a challenge. In ancient Hebrew, the heart wasn't about emotions. It was your mind, your decisions, your will. So this verse isn't saying, feel nice thoughts about God. It's saying, surrender your logic, your instincts, your plan B. It's a radical invitation. Let God be the only thing you lean on. You can't trust and control at the same time. The Hebrew word for lean means to rest your full weight on something. The kind of leaning where, if it gives out, you're done. So when Proverbs says, don't lean on your own understanding, it's not saying your brain is broken. It's saying your brain can't see the whole battlefield. And if you lean on what's limited, don't be surprised when your path starts curving into confusion. God doesn't promise a shortcut. He promises a compass. The phrase, "He shall direct thy paths," is often misunderstood. We think it means God will roll out the red carpet. But the Hebrew is closer to, he'll make your path straight. Think, plow through the weeds, level the rocks. Not always easy, not always fast, but sure, it's not about luxury, it's about alignment. God's guidance often shows up like an old school lantern, one step at a time. We want the 10-year plan. God hands us one step. Why? Because following him isn't about knowing the destination. It's about learning to trust the guide every time you acknowledge him. Whether it's in your job, your text messages, your next appointment, you're inviting him to shape the route. And he doesn't just show the path, he walks it with you. Most people treat this verse like a fridge magnet, stuck on the surface, rarely lived out. Let's be honest. We've slapped Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6 on mugs, t-shirts, and Pinterest boards. But this verse isn't decoration. It's direction. It's not feel-good fluff. It's a serious warning. If you keep leaning on what you know, you'll miss where God's trying to take you. Even if your understanding is smart, it's not sovereign. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is stop trying to make sense of everything. This verse calls us to trust, not decode. Sometimes God's will won't add up on paper. He'll say go when it feels wrong, stay when you're itching to run. And if you're constantly trying to out-reason him, you'll burn out. Trust isn't blind. It's built on the belief that the one leading you knows more than the one being led. We want divine answers. God gives divine presence. When you acknowledge God in all your ways, you're not guaranteed a map, but you are guaranteed his involvement, his presence, that gut check that keeps you from compromise, that peace that doesn't make sense, that inner nudge that says, turn here, slow down, let go. God isn't an algorithm, he's a shepherd. If life feels crooked, maybe you've been leaning in the wrong direction. We all want straight paths, clarity, peace, direction. But straight paths come from full surrender, and surrender is scary because it means handing over the steering wheel when you don't even see the road. But here's the truth. God's not asking for blind trust. He's asking for bold trust, built on his track record, not your own. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next right step. That might mean making the call, letting go of the grudge, applying even if you're scared, pausing before you speak. Sometimes acknowledging God is that small, but that's significant. And with every act of obedience, you're realigning your life with him. God isn't trying to make your life easier. He's trying to make your heart stronger. Straight paths don't mean smooth roads. They mean purpose over chaos. They mean peace in the pressure. This verse isn't a magic fix. It's a blueprint for walking with God in a world that says, figure it out yourself. It's a rebellion against self-reliance. You can be scared and still trust. You can be unsure and still move. Faith isn't the absence of fear. It's the presence of obedience in the middle of it. Trusting in the Lord with all your heart doesn't require confidence in yourself. It just requires confidence in him. And every time you lean on him instead of your own wisdom, you're proving that faith isn't a feeling, it's a choice. If you're waiting for certainty, you'll miss the invitation to trust. God rarely gives you 100% certainty. What he gives you is enough. Enough light for the next step, enough grace for the next hard thing. Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6 isn't promising a perfect path. It's promising a faithful God on an imperfect road. What would change if you actually lived this verse? What decisions would look different? What anxiety would lose its grip? What risks would you finally take? Because when you stop leaning on yourself and start acknowledging God in everything, you stop living small and start living surrendered. And that's where the real transformation begins. So wherever you are today, on the edge of a decision, deep in a valley, or lost in 1,000 doubts, Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6 offers a better way. Not perfect clarity, but perfect presence, a blueprint for the brave. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path, straight, steady, sacred,